Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. My name is Scott. When I overheard my girlfriend talking on the phone, saying, she will never love me the way she loved her ex. That broke my heart because I've worked so hard for her love and acceptance. In that moment, I didn't wait to hear the rest of the conversation. I decided to walk away. By the time she realized what had just happened, it was already too late. I met Diana about 10 months after walking away from a relationship I had spent nearly 5 years in. I wasn't really looking to date again, and I wasn't exactly in a good place to start something new. I was just trying to get back to myself and slowly saying yes to more invitations from friends. That's how I ended up at Marcus's housewarming party on a Saturday afternoon. It was just a bunch of us standing around in a backyard, someone working the grill, cheap folding chairs, music playing off someone's Bluetooth speaker. Diana was there helping set up the drinks table. I remember she handed me a soda and asked if I knew how to grill chicken thighs without drying them out. That kicked off a small conversation about nothing big. After the party, we started texting, slowly at first. I didn't have a strategy. Before I knew it, we were texting every day. Sometimes in the middle of work. Sometimes late at night. She mentioned early on that her last relationship had ended messily. But she didn't go into detail, and I didn't push. I figured if it was important, she'd bring it up when she was ready. To me, messy just sounded like it still stung, and I respected that. I also assumed she wasn't seeing anyone else. That's when I started leaning in a little more emotionally. Our conversations started to get deeper. We talked about things I hadn't discussed with anyone in years. It was a kind of raw exchange, but meaningful. Eventually, one night over text, Diana opened up. She admitted her ex had cheated on her, and added she found out not from him, but from a woman who messaged her out of guilt. Diana didn't give me every detail, but told me she'd stopped trusting people after that. She added that she hated the idea of depending on anyone, that she had learned how to be self-sufficient and had no interest in ever feeling powerless again. I remember sitting there, phone in hand, trying to find the right thing to say. I typed out, "I'm not here to control you, just to know you." She didn't say much after that, just a short thanks. I didn't know if that helped or if she just didn't want to go deeper in that moment. But things didn't get weird after that. In fact, they got better. 6 months after we met, Diana and I made things official. Not long after, she started spending more time at my place. Some nights, she stayed over, without even planning to. I'd make us something simple for dinner. I'm no chef, but I can handle spaghetti, pan-fried salmon, stuff like that. My feelings for her kept growing deeper, without me even realizing. But one of the first things I started to notice was how rarely she said, "I love you." At first, I thought maybe she just forgot now and then. We were both busy, life gets hectic. But it turned into a pattern. Eventually, I stopped expecting to hear it, and that hurt more than I liked to admit, even to myself. She still showed affection, sure. But there was something held back. Physically, she was there. But emotionally? I don't know. Sometimes she makes references to her ex. And they weren't occasional. They were frequent enough to make me notice. "My ex used to love this restaurant," or "that reminds me of what my ex used to do." She'd say these things casually. I felt I was constantly being compared to someone I didn't even know. I never said anything because I didn't want to come off as insecure. But deep down, I was starting to feel like I'd never be enough. And still, I didn't push. I thought if I just gave her room, then one day she'd wake up and realize what she had. I didn't want to scare her off. I wanted her to choose me without pressure. So I gave her patience. Probably too much of it. I kept doing the little things. I wasn't trying to win her over. I was just trying to love her the best way I knew how. And she'd always say the same thing, "You're too good to me." I'd smile and say, "I just want to see you happy." And I meant it. But I never once heard her say, "You make me happy." And over time, that silence got loud. When someone truly loves you, you feel it, not just in what they do, but in what they say when no one's watching. And with Diana, that emotional warmth just never came. By the time we hit the 1-year mark, I thought things would have gotten through the rough patch like every couple has ups and downs. But instead of improving, it felt like everything between me and Diana was getting colder. She'd take hours to reply to my texts without giving an explanation, and a quick message like busy, talk later. And yeah, I get it, people get busy. Work can be rough. I started to notice that even when we were in the same room, it felt like I was alone. When I asked her if something was wrong, she always gave the same answer. Work's just been stressful. I wanted to believe her. But our time together started to shrink. Suddenly, she had meetings on weekends, late-night calls, deadlines that just had to be met. Still, I didn't walk away. I wasn't ready to give up. And just when I felt myself starting to accept that maybe this was it, that we were dying slowly, Diana surprised me. I got tired of complaining and began withdrawing, and she realized. One night out of the blue, she called me and said, "Hey, I was thinking we could do a weekend away. Just the two of us at my place. Like old times." And man, I was filled with joy. I wanted to believe that this was the moment we turned it around. I told myself maybe she just needed space before, and now she realized she missed me, too. That Friday evening, Diana texted, "Could you grab Thai for me? Extra spicy. I'm exhausted." I didn't think too much of it at the time. Honestly, I was glad she was even reaching out. Lately, things had been tense. Her replies short, her tone distant. So when she asked for food, it felt like a small opening. Maybe we'd eat together, talk, and find a way back to that place we used to be in. I wanted that badly. So I got in the car and drove 25 minutes to her favorite Thai place. I didn't mind, though. I was actually smiling while waiting for the food. I even checked it at the counter to make sure they got the extra spicy part right. When I finally got to her place, I noticed the front door wasn't locked. She usually kept it that way when she knew I was coming. So I walked in like I always did, quietly, balancing the bag of takeout in one hand and the Thai iced tea in the other. I slipped into the kitchen and set everything down gently on the counter. The place smelled like her. But as I turned to go surprise her in the bedroom, that's when I heard her voice. It was coming from down the hall, from her bedroom probably. She was on the phone. I figured I'd wait a minute before going in, not wanting to interrupt whatever conversation she was having. But as I listened, it sounded almost confessional. I couldn't hear the other person, just her. But I'll never forget the words that followed. "I know, right? I mean, he's so sweet. Like, he'd literally do anything for me. But I'll never love him like I love my ex. That kind of love doesn't happen twice." I just stood there with my heart beating. I didn't confront her to make a scene. I just turned around, walked back out the door as quietly as I came in, and got back into my car. I didn't even take the food. The drive home felt longer than usual, as I thought back on all the little things I'd done and the plans I had canceled to make her feel better. The times I swallowed my own hurt so she didn't have to deal with one more thing. I'd given so much of myself, thinking it would mean something. But in the end, I was just the guy who picked up dinner. The guy who made her life easier, not the one she loved. And that truth cut deeper than anything she could have yelled at me. When I got home that night, I tossed my keys in the bowl by the door, kicked off my shoes, and sat on the edge of the couch. After a while, I picked up my phone to check the time and noticed an unread message. All from her. The first one said, "Hey, where'd you go?" Sent maybe 20 minutes while I was driving. The next came about an hour later. Food was amazing, by the way. But did something happen? The last message came closer to midnight. "Are you okay?" I stared at that message for a full minute. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because I finally understood I didn't owe her anything else. No explanation, no response, or a final goodbye. She had all the chances in the world to treat me like a partner. I wasn't an intern. I wasn't in training. I was her husband. And when she stopped treating me like that, she made her choice. All I did was give her the result she thought she was in control of deciding. I went to my contacts, scrolled to her name, hovered over it for a second, and then deleted it. She showed up at my door 3 days later, one late afternoon. I got back from work and had barely taken off my shoes when I heard the doorbell. I didn't need to check. I had a feeling it was her. You know how sometimes your gut just knows? That was one of those moments. And I wasn't wrong. When I opened the door, there she was, Diana. But her eyes didn't have that warmth I used to chase. They were frantic and accusatory. Before I could even say anything, she launched right into it. Why haven't you answered my texts? Or my calls? You've been ignoring me. I kept my hand on the door. I didn't invite her in. I wasn't trying to be rude, but honestly, I couldn't even trust myself to sit across from her without saying something I might regret. So I just said it flat out. Why don't you go talk to your ex? I said. She blinked like she didn't understand what I meant. Tried to put on that confused face she always used when she didn't want to take accountability. She asked, "What are you talking about?" So I told her, "I heard you on the phone that day." That shut her up. Her face dropped for a second, like I'd yanked the mask off. But she still tried to recover. "I didn't mean it like that," she said, almost whispering now. But I wasn't in the mood for word games. I just looked her dead in the eye and said what had been eating me alive ever since that day. I was just a comfort. He was your passion. She broke then and started crying right there on my doorstep. I let her cry. I had cried, too, just not in front of her. And by then my heart is cold. So I gave her my last words. I deserved to be someone's first choice. And I closed the door. She stayed out there for a while. I saw her shadow through the curtains and heard her sniffle. But I didn't open the door again. Eventually, she left. A few days passed after everything came crashing down. She continued sending messages, checking in, asking how I was doing, pretending like we were two old friends who had simply drifted apart. I didn't say much, and I definitely didn't feel like pretending. I just let the messages sit there, answering when I felt like it, if at all. Then one morning, I woke up early, around 6, I think. I reached over to check my phone out of habit, not even expecting anything. But there was a text from her. I still think about that night. I never forgave myself. "I hope you're happy." I read it, sat with it for a second. Then I locked my phone and got up to brush my teeth. I didn't reply because I didn't feel the need to. What was there to say? That message wasn't really for me. It was her trying to close something inside herself. And that's fine. But I wasn't going to open up another chapter just because she suddenly wanted to look back. Still, I'd be lying if I said I didn't reflect after that. Not just on what she did, but on myself too. It's easy to play the victim, you know? To point fingers and say, "Look what she did to me." But when I sat with it, I realized something hard to admit. I kept showing up for someone who hadn't done the work. I kept hoping that love alone would be enough to carry both of us, even when one of us was dragging their past behind them like an anchor. I told myself she changed. And I think, deep down, I knew she hadn't healed. I just didn't want to believe that meant I had to walk away. I blamed her for staying stuck, but I was the one who stayed beside her, knowing she was stuck. So yeah, if there's blame to go around, I'll take my share. I should have walked when I realized she wasn't ready. I should have protected my peace instead of trying to be her savior. Because loving someone doesn't mean sacrificing yourself while they sort themselves out. It's not my job to carry both of us. Not anymore. Thanks for sticking with me and watching this all the way through. I hope it gave someone out there clarity or comfort or even just the sense that you're not alone. If this helped you or made you think twice about what you're settling for, go ahead and like the video and share it with someone who might need it too. Take care of yourself.